Hello, I'm Mantastic and Fantastic, and today I want to talk about the new upgrades that have just gone live, or about to go live in North America. So, the Brave series is a series that I've essentially kind of forgotten that has existed, but the buffs that have been given do give them significantly more value overall, and it may be worthwhile even looking into it, especially some of the weapon assists. Now, before I go any further, all of the cards in their non-weapon assist form are 6 or lower star rarity. So we just scroll down really quick, you can see they are 6 stars, and their team costs are quite low, 25 or 15. And why is that important? Well, it's important because if you're playing something that has a leveling up mechanic in the dungeon, so you enter the dungeon, you're level 1, the rate your cards level up in that respective dungeon is tied to their team cost, which means these cards will level up incredibly quickly. Furthermore, if you are playing Alt MD2, which enhances or gives bonuses to 6-star rarity cards or lower, this can be quite meaningful because, well, these are all 5 or 6 stars, which in turn lets them all qualify. As such, if you are playing through those respective dungeons, these cards might give you a little bit more value. So, let's take a look at why these cards have become significantly more valuable. So, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, these cards all have these co-op boost awakenings, which means that if you're playing in co-op mode, you will receive plus 50% stats for this card, which in turn makes them potentially incredibly hard-hitting or have large amounts of health and or RCV values. So that's something to keep in mind, but at the same time, if you're playing in solo mode, this awakening is unfortunately completely dead weight, but at the same time, you do get access to these super awakenings. I feel like I would be much more inclined to, play in co-op mode if possible, just to take advantage of that, because it can be a significant stat boost, especially for health and RCV. So, for Shotel and all the Brave Series 1, they're all going to follow a very similar template pattern, so to speak. But the main notable thing I want to draw your attention to is their active skill. It's now a 1-turn cooldown, and it changes this card's attribute to their sub-attribute, which means with a 1-turn cooldown, you have 100% uptime, which in turn lets you basically have Shotel be a wood card. And if you take a look at them, each color is going to be kind of unique in their own aspect and what they bring for awakenings. It may or may not be a strong candidate for your respective monocolor team because, again, they will become fire in this case here. And the benefit of having the matching sub-attribute to your primary attribute for monocolor teams is that your primary attribute is dealing large amounts of damage. Your sub-attribute is only dealing 10%, but in this day and age, it's definitely possible to hit gargantuan amounts of damage, and because of the way damage is capped, that amount, let's say you hit 40 billion damage, essentially, but it gets reduced down to 4.2 because of double damage cap latent. The sub-attribute would do 40 divided by 10, or 4 billion or so. So in that sense, that card, if they were hitting a gargantuan amount, in theory, their sub-attribute can provide a meaningful amount of damage, which is what possibly could be valuable for these cards in this series, because again, having the matching sub-attribute lets the card deal large amounts of damage. Now, the drawback is wood TPAs may or may not necessarily be the greatest thing unless you have the Lily of the Valley who likes to, utilize wood TPAs. So Shotel could be a possible option, but I feel like it's definitely better in co-op mode when, you don't waste this awakening, so to speak. And the stat bonuses can be good, along with the fact that lower skill boost could be a little problematic. All the weapon assists for Brave 1 are now double killer and potentially other useful awakenings. This case here, it's double TPA and 2 killer awakenings. That is actually kind of absurd when you really think about it. If there's a dragon or healer spawn, you're dealing 3 times personal damage to that encounter, and the TPAs, depending on the type of team is being utilized on, could actually be a big deal because TPAs add 1.7 times personal damage each. So this is actually a monstrous damage solution, but just be mindful of the fact that the cooldown is very low. If you have down Ps or things to unskill your stuff, maybe it's something to look into because you don't really want this to overcharge. Most likely you don't want it to overcharge. And this weapon assist is going to follow a similar pattern for all the Brave 1 series. So Claymore is going to be red, lower personal damage and more TPA related. Weapon assist again, Devil, physical killer, double TPA. Kind of unique. Similar style active skill that gives a little attack buff and color changing. Masume, again, they're following basically a similar type of template. They have a super resist, large personal damage with TPAs. He becomes water. weapon assist, different killers, and this is where I'm probably going to get most excited is these weapon assists, because double killers is pretty unique when you really think about it. Koipis is going to be red for TPA shenanigans, so to speak. And another thing you can keep in mind is because of this color changing aspect, it can be meaningful when you enter dungeons if there's all attribute requirements, because you enter the dungeon, they're light red, and now you're becoming red for the rest of the dungeon. You can potentially have a little bit of easier team building. God Physical, double TPAs. I can't pronounce this individual, but again, large amounts of damage, a super resist, like it can be big if you can take advantage of those TPAs. Now, for the Brave 2 series, they're following a little bit of a different pattern. They unfortunately only have 8 awakenings, and one of them is the co-op boost, so you could be really missing out potentially. But remember, they are actually 6-star rarity, so again, for Alt MD2, these cards can have significantly more value. But their active skill, I think, is much better, because it's a 2-turn cooldown, which gives you orb changing possibilities. It will change water and jammers to light, and then dark and poison to heal, and then changes this card to light. So now you're a light card with double 10 combo, potentially co-op boost if you're co-oping. You could have another 7 combo if you are playing in solo mode, and it's orb generation on a 2-turn cooldown. And this can actually be quite meaningful on teams where, like, let's say you only have one really strong orb generator that's on a 2-turn cooldown. You'd only have orb generation every other turn. One of these cards on your team from this Brave 2 series can solve orb generation, or in theory, 2 of them in that sense can give you constant orb generation if for whatever reason the team you're playing doesn't have easy access to orb generation. So this can be possibly a meaningful choice if you have monolight teams, if you don't have strong orb generation. For their weapon assist, it gives a myriad of awakenings, but look, there's a 7 combo. Like, I remember when Seawolf's weapon assist first came out, and everyone was like, whoa, 7 combo, absolutely amazing. Well, we're starting to get that more often, and there's even a TPA thrown in and skill bind resist. Just try not to let it be skilled up, and you'll be much happier. For Erendite, they are double brick, and they are light with their active skill. Remember, they're going to change to their sub-attributes. So there's quite a few light brick style teams where they're blobbing light orbs, and this can be strong orb generation if you don't have access to easy orb generation. So you can have a card that can deal meaningful amounts of damage, someone that does change orbs on a 2-turn cooldown, and also removing hazards. So in theory, you don't actually have to run blind or jammer resist, no, poison or jammer resist in theory, because you can just keep converting them, because those orbs actually become more ammunition for yourself, which can be kind of exciting. They could get a combo orb if you're playing in solo mode, or 7 combo, which is great for the brick style approach. Super follow-up attack, 7 combo, team HP and 7 combo. Right away, I'm actually kind of excited about that. Like, there are often times where I need a little bit more HP, and I want to find something that gives that, and the 7 combo is doubling the card's personal damage, because 7 combos give times 2 damage, which is definitely quite meaningful. Calabolic becomes light. There's a lot of light theme going on here, and they're cross-oriented, so maybe you bust out that Phyllis and you want to play crosses, maybe that could be a possible option. But I want to draw your attention to Jiang, because Jiang actually may have the most value of the Brave 2 because of the current teams it could fit on. So they have the co-op boost again, and then double brick. They could get a 7 combo or a combo orb, which is exciting, but they only have 2 skill boosts. But their active skill is changing water and jammers to dark, wood and poison to heal, and then making themselves dark. And right now we have Academy Ina, and she pairs with a wide variety of things like Hadlar and another card from Academy, the Toko guy, I can't pronounce that well. Point of the matter is there's many dark brick teams out there, and if you don't have AOI Shikigami from the Gung Ho collab, this can be a wonderful alternative, because with double brick you're hitting for a total of 144 times personal damage. Co-op mode, it's even higher. Add a 7 combo, same idea, or maybe give yourself another combo orb. Point of the matter is it can be a large amount of damage output, but unlike Shikigami, you're not nuking your HP to 1, so you might have a little bit of an easier time healing back up, which of course can be quite meaningful. And again, if you didn't have Shikigami, this can definitely be a nice alternative solution, because it can be your orb generator on a 2-turn cooldown, while also ensuring they're dark for large amounts of damage output. Their weapon assist gives you the co-op boost and 7 combo team HP. If I'm playing co-op, this could be a pretty strong weapon assist. When you think about it, it is double damage from the 7 combo, 50% from the co-op boost, so 3 times more personal damage for the owning card in co-op. That's actually a pretty large increase when you really think about it. Along with the extra HP, just don't let it be max skilled, and you should never let it overcharge. For Misthalin, they become green, and they like the tacos or the enhanced wood combos. They like to make multiple wood combos, so they have okay personal damage, but they get a 10 combo through their super waking. So in co-op mode, they have 5 times 1.5, 7.5 times personal damage. Solo mode, it's 25 times. Solo mode's definitely a lot stronger by comparison, but you also don't get the VDP either, so that could be a little drawback. But again, these weapon assists are giving quite strong aspects. 7 combo with other beneficial awakenings. So if you do have at least these Brave 2 cards, I would definitely look into making these weapon assists, and then making sure if you have these weapon assists, adding extra Tamadra's, because they will be missing awakenings due to this buff. And with that being said, those are all the Brave buffs that have come out at this point in time. So it's nice to definitely see some life breathed into older cards, because, you know, they do gain significantly more value. But regardless of all that, let me know what you think about these cards in the comments down below. Which ones are you the most excited to actually bust out and start utilizing? But regardless of all that, hopefully you all have a truly fantastic day. I wish you all the best luck in your own pad adventures, and happy puzzling.